Once upon a time in a land far, far away, though how far I cannot say, there was a beautiful kingdom ruled by cats. In a grand and luxurious home lived a loving father and his beloved daughter. But one fateful day, the little girl's mother passed away. Fearing that his daughter would grow up without a mother's love, Ashpaw's father remarried a noble woman named Madame Fariska, who had two daughters of her own, Snarlina and Clawmire. Ups, my bad. Let me introduce you to the one and only, our gorgeous girl Ashpaw. But after Ashpaw's father passed away, her life turned bitter under the cruel hand of her stepmother and the selfish whims of her two stepsisters. Day after day, Ashpaw was forced to do all the housework without so much as a kind of word or a hint of compassion each day. She worked tirelessly without complaint.
Ashpaw, what are you doing? Look at this mess, clean it up immediately. Then wash all the clothes for me.
Ashpaw bowed her head silently, obeying her stepmother's commands without protest, for she had no other choice. While Ashpaw was busy cleaning up, her two stepsisters sat on armchairs in the corner of the room, laughing and pointing at her.
Look at her, always so dirty and scruffy, pathetic.
Our mother's right. Ashpaw is only fit to be our servant.
Though treated poorly, Ashpaw remained hopeful. Deep in her heart, she believed that happiness would come to her one day, though it seemed so far away. Meanwhile, in a magnificent castle, the king was troubled, for he had yet to find a match for his son, Prince Whiskerthorn, who had come of age. The king decided to hold a grand ball, inviting all the maidens in the kingdom, and he decreed that every eligible girl must attend. Swiftly the messenger rode through the land, delivering the royal invitations to every household. When Ashpaw received the letter, she did not dare open it, but handed it to her stepmother. Her stepsisters, wild with excitement, clamored to read the news, while Madame Fariska snatched the letter, exclaiming over the prince's invitation.
Every girl is invited to the party.
Ashpaw timidly expressed her wish to attend, but her stepmother sneered, saying she could only go if she finished all her chores and had a splendid gown to wear. Unbeknownst to her stepmother, Ashpaw still had a beautiful dress left behind by her mother. However, with so many chores to do, she had no time to fix it. Her little friends, the birds and the little mice, took pity on her and together mended the dress into a lovely new one for Ashpaw. As the clock ticked closer to the hour of the ball, carriages began to leave the palace, heading to every house to collect the maidens. When the carriage arrived at Ashpaw's door, in her disappointment, she called out to her stepmother and stepsisters. After a hard day's labor, she had no time to adorn her dress or prepare for the ball.
I wish I could go to the ball, but I have nothing to wear and I'm locked here at home.
Suddenly, a light appeared behind her. Ashpaw turned and was utterly surprised to see her gown now splendidly decorated by her tiny friends. Overjoyed, she put it on and twirled around, dancing in delight. Her wicked stepmother and stepsisters, already dressed for the ball, were smug in their belief that Ashpaw would have no fine dress to wear and would be left behind. But from her room Ashpaw descended, looking as graceful and lovely as ever. Fearing that Ashpaw might steal the prince's heart, her stepmother instructed her two cruel daughters to tear Ashpaw's dress to shreds. Just as hope began to bloom, Ashpaw's dress was ruined, and in despair she ran from the house, her heart aching, collapsing on an old bench. She wept bitterly. But then a light glowed before her, and an elderly woman with a kind face appeared.
Don't cry, Ashpaw. I've come to help you. You deserve so much more.
Ashpaw looked up in disbelief, unsure if what she saw was real.
Remember, Ashpal, the magic will only last until midnight. You must leave the ball before the clock strikes 12.
With a wave of her wand, Miss Dale transformed a large pumpkin into a magnificent carriage. Another wave and the mice turned into strong horses, ready to pull the carriage. She conjured a coachman and footman, prepared to escort Ashpot to the ball.
But my dress, it's in taters. How can I possibly go?
That's a small matter.
Said Miss Dale with a smile, and with another flick of her wand, Ashpot was dressed in a dazzling gown and a pair of unique glass slippers.
Hurry up! Hurry up!
At the palace, the prince was meeting many young ladies, but none caught his interest despite their beauty. He cited boredom covering his mouth as he yawned.
None of them spark any joy in my heart.
Ashpa arrived at the ball fashionably late. Her wicked stepsisters greeted the prince, but his gaze drifted past them. Drawn to Ashpa standing at a distance, Prince Whiskerthorn was instantly captivated by her. Neither her stepmother nor her stepsisters recognized her as the poor girl from their household. The prince approached Ashpa, greeting her warmly and asking for a dance. Together they danced their steps perfectly in sync, as if they were meant for each other. They strolled by the lake in the palace gardens, lost in conversation, time slipping away unnoticed. Just as they were about to share a kiss, the clock prepared to chime. Ashpaw panicked.
I must go before everything returns to how it was.
Miss, wait!
She fled, running down the grand staircase. But in her haste, one of her glass slippers slipped off.
Close the gates at once.
The Duke gave chase, ordering the gates to be closed. But Ashpa's carriage sped away just in time. The soldiers pursued, but by the time the magic faded, Ashpa had already hidden safely in the bushes. Ashpa did not realize the man she had danced with was the prince, but the night had already been a dream come true. For her, though all the magic disappeared, the glass slipper remained, the precious token of Miss Dale's kindness. Ashpa felt very grateful to Miss Dale. Back at the palace, the king was furious when he heard that the prince's chosen lady had vanished into the night. But the glass slipper was left behind, and with it a clue to her identity. Thus the king decreed that whoever could fit the slipper would become the prince's bride. The news spread across the kingdom, and when the stepmother heard, she hurried to tell her two leeches. Ashpa, carrying a tray of tea, overheard and was so startled that she spilled everything. Her stepmother had been suspicious of Ashpa ever since that night and began to plot. While Ashpa was brushing her hair in her room, the stepmother locked her inside, pocketing the key. The two mice saw this and were determined to steal the key to set Ashpa free. The Duke arrived with a glass slipper. The mice struggled to bring the key to Ashpa, while the stepsisters tried on the shoe, but their feet were far too large. The mice finally reached the door, but the wicked cat stood guard. Thankfully, a brave dog charged in, barking loudly and causing the cat to scramble away in fear. Just as the Duke was about to leave, Ashpa rushed down the stairs. Her stepmother tried to prevent Ashpa from trying on the slipper, knowing it would surely fit. She made excuse after excuse, but the Duke pushed her aside. In a final attempt to thwart Ashpal, the stepmother tripped the servant carrying the slipper, shattering it into pieces. The Duke was at a loss.
Please, no! No! No!
until Ashbaugh took out the other glass slipper. She slipped it onto her foot and it fit perfectly. Ashbaugh and the prince were soon married in a grand celebration with blessings from everyone in the kingdom. And so from a life of hardship, Ashbaugh finally found happiness, living joyfully ever after with the prince.